All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Super excited to do another product webinar. I'm Fred. I'm our lead product manager for Premium. I'm joined by Sam, who's our senior product manager for Premium. And we're really excited today to do another product webinar, office hours, and Q&A and get to some of your questions. So we're going to do a live walkthrough of some new tools that we've recently launched, give you a first look at some of these new features and then really just spend most of the time doing open Q&A as well. And so I'll go ahead and get started with kind of the disclosure here. Just a reminder, this will be recorded and sent out after the webinar. So let's get some housekeeping items out of the way first with the disclosure. So past performance is no guarantee of future results. Any views or opinions expressed in the webinar do not reflect those of Seeking Alpha as a whole. Any content and tools on the platform are offered for information purposes only. Seeking Alpha Portfolio is a tool for tracking news and analysis and does not constitute a brokerage account or enable any trading activity. Seeking Alpha does not take account of your objectives or your financial situation and does not offer any personalized investment advice. Seeking Alpha is not a licensed securities dealer, broker, U.S. investment advisor, or investment bank. Great. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Sam, our senior product manager for Premium. He's going to get started walking through some really cool features. Thanks for joining, Sam.
Cool. Thanks, Fred. And appreciate all you guys joining. I want to walk through three specific things today. So the first one will be the top analyst card that we've added to the analysis landing page. The second one is going to be a small but important patch that we made to screeners. And then the third one is going to be two new data points that we've added for portfolios. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And Fred, let me know when you can see it.
Yep.
Cool. So the first one, this is something that we're really excited about to bring to premium users. So you'll see here that we're on the analysis landing page, and we've added a card for the top 15 performing analysts across the platform. So of course, the analysts and the articles that they publish is one of the main features of the platform for Seeking Alpha. So we're really excited to publish this because what it's going to do is call out the top 15 performing analysts across the entire site. So here you'll be able to see their ranking and also their average return. You'll also be able to follow them directly right in the card here. And if you scroll down, you'll see a link to the top analyst page. And what this is going to give you is a more detailed view of all the performance metrics, and you can see the same ranking list here. But you can also see the success rate, average return, the latest coverage date, which you can sort on all of these columns. And then also the number of ratings. So if you click on any one of these, you'll be able to see all of the recent articles that this analyst has published. So again, this is something that we're really excited to bring to you guys, and hopefully will help you locate analysts that are not only high performing, but also who are covering maybe things that you're specifically interested in as well. So moving on to the next thing. This I mentioned is a small but important fix that we added to screeners. So here we have an example screen where you can see the number of results. And if we look at what columns are currently available, we have market cap. But one of the main issues that we were noticing in some of the feedback that we received is, for example, if we add dividend forward, a lot of companies, as you know, don't pay dividends. So some of these results were blank and it was removing those results from the screener. And the fix that we've added is for all numeric fields. You'll be able to still see companies even if they have a blank value in this field. So you should already see this applied across the board for everyone. And this here, now you can still sort, but we won't remove the results for those specific companies. And also just to backtrack one thing I want to call out as well for top analysts. This is currently in a test group. So if you are interested in being added to this group, just feel free to put your email in the chat. We can add you to that group as well. So just want to make sure to call that out because some of you may or may not see this currently live, but maybe in the next few weeks. And then the third thing that I want to cover, here we have an example portfolio, and we've added two key data points here, which is quant ranking and days at rating. So the way you can find these is if we edit this view and then you look under ratings, you'll see that I have these two fields enabled. And what this is going to do is show you the actual quant ranking position for any of the symbols. and how long it's been at that ranking position. So, for example, Google is currently 716 out of 4310. So it's been at that ranking for about 288 days. And this is just a really useful way to not only track the quant rating for specific symbols you care about, but also see how long they've maintained that position as well. So, yeah, those are the main updates that I have. Fred, happy to pass it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So yeah, I appreciate you walking through that. And just as a reminder for everyone, that top analyst feature is available in the analysis left nav. And if you don't see it in your account, just input your email address into the chat and we'll go ahead and add that in there for you. So another feature that we wanted to highlight is the ability to set ratings alerts for your entire portfolio a lot more easily. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. All right. Can you see that?
Yep.
Cool, perfect. So, um, we've just launched the ability to add ratings alerts for your entire portfolio. And so the way that you would do that is basically launch into one of your portfolios. You can see here I'm in the growth portfolio on the left. And what you would do is essentially click on Manage Alerts. When you click on Manage Alerts, a modal pops up that prompts you to set ratings alerts. You can see it defaults to quant ratings alerts for the tickers in your portfolio. And you can select them all. If you don't want a certain one, you can uncheck those ones. And then you can hit Save. And now you'll see that you have a quant rating alert set for all the tickers that you just set up in your portfolio. And basically what this means is whenever a stock changes its rating in your portfolio from maybe a strong buy to a hold or from a hold to a sell, you'll get an email or a push notification letting you know that the rating has actually changed for that stock or for that ETF. And that's interesting because that's kind of happening a lot and frequently, and you want to stay up to date on those things. And so you can also hit new alert and set one for SA analyst ratings as well. If you hit save, you'll see those both set up in this modal here for SA analyst and quant rating alerts. And again, that's just available by clicking on the Manage Alerts button right here. If you click on that, you'll be able to set those alerts. And that's interesting, like I said, because these ratings are changing all the time. And you can see that actually by going to this up and downgrades tab here. So I'm just going to click up and downgrades to the right, and you can see all the different stocks, the change type, downgrade or upgrade, the rating type, SA analyst, quant, and the new rating and the previous rating in a table view pretty easily in your tab in a tab in your portfolio. And like I said, you can see, the date of today, a couple are today, yesterday. These are happening pretty frequently. So you want to set those alerts to be able to make sure that you know exactly when those alerts or those ratings are changed from, like I said, from a hold to a sell here, or from, a strong buy to a hold as well. So that's super important as far as being able to set ratings alerts for your entire portfolio really quickly. And then one other feature I just wanted to show as well is the launch of a new weekly investment quiz that we actually just recently launched on last Friday. So the weekly investment quiz basically is just a lightweight, kind of fun way to kind of test your knowledge of the week's biggest investment or market moving stories. I'll go over to this tab here and you can see the one from last Friday. So it's very simple. Basically, just asking you kind of the questions of the week. You can go through, select multiple choice questions. It'll show you which ones you got correct, which ones you got incorrect. And you go through, there's 10 questions. Again, a really lightweight, easy way to stay informed and also to see how you stack up against other quiz takers across Seeking Alpha. So when you go through and actually answer all 10 questions, you'll see a kind of result at the bottom that shows you how you stacked up against others in the kind of quiz taking world within Seeking Alpha. And so again, just a fun way to stay up to date on the week's investment news. This quiz goes out every Friday, and we'll send a link in the chat to the page that it goes out, and you can follow that page and you'll get an alert whenever the quiz is published so that you'll be able to see it And like I said, it goes out every Friday. Just a fun way to test your knowledge on kind of the news of the week, to make sure that you're staying up to date and see how you stack up against others. So yeah, those are the main items we wanted to hit as far as the product walkthrough. I think we've got a decent amount of questions in the chat, so we can go ahead and maybe open it up to some questions that we,
Yeah, I was gonna say, Fred, we got a couple questions about setting ratings alerts specifically at the individual symbol level, so it could be helpful just to dive into one specific one.
Yeah, totally. So you can set ratings alerts for individual symbols too, as opposed to your entire portfolio. You can do it on the symbol page. So basically, if you go to a symbol page such as, LU right here, you'll be able to see essentially a kind of icon in the top right corner that's a bell. If you click on that, you'll be able to see a summary of what's actually, set up here. And essentially, you can see right now I've got an active quant rating alert for this one. And if I hit new alert, I'll be able to set a Wall Street alert for this one because you can see we've already got the quant alert set. And once I hit save, that'll be updated too so that you can see quant and Wall Street there. You can do that for any symbol. So basically, if you go to, Apple or something like that, basically you can see that bell icon in the top right corner again. You can click on that. You'd be able to click on quant, and then you'd be able to hit save, and you'll see that that quant rating is set up just for that ticker, giving you the ability to just have that alert for that one specific ticker.
Awesome. And also seeing a couple questions from people that are new to the platform about why the ratings might change, and kind of how the frequency might differ for those ratings changing.
Yeah, so the ratings change for a number of reasons, typically related to the factor grades associated, for example, with our quant rating system. So our quant rating system has these factor grades: valuation, growth, profitability, momentum, and revisions. So I'm down here on the right side of the symbol page where you can see those grades. And we give you a really good idea, an illustration of why ratings might change by going into this ratings tab. So it's next to the summary tab. You can click on ratings. And you can basically see in a format like a table, all the different ratings and why they've maybe changed. Apple, you can see, has been pretty steady at a hold. So maybe I'll pick a different one. Maybe I'll pick ASM, which is Avino Silver and Gold Mines. And if we scroll down, you can see this one has changed a little bit recently from this table. It's gone from a strong buy to a hold to a buy to a strong buy. And this kind of table will maybe give you an understanding of potentially why that is. So you can see down here when this is a strong buy, we had uh, the EPS revisions grade as a B plus, and it kind of went to a B, and that's where we kind of flipped from strong buy to a hold. You can also see here we had the valuation go from D to F. So those two factors may have changed it from a strong buy to a hold. And this just gives you a pretty helpful idea of why a stock might change its grade. For example, this is a D minus, an F for D minus, and a D for valuation, then went up to a D plus, and potentially the reason why it changed to a buy there. And so this is just an example of how you can see the ratings for the quant rating system changing through this table. As well as if you go to the SA Analyst ratings sub tab here, so I'm going to click on SA Analyst next to quant rating, you can basically see a similar graph down below here of kind of the ratings changes over time and an analyst breakdown. So the rating for SA analysts, stocks for SA analysts is based on how many analysts have written about that stock and what rating they gave it in the last 90 days. So you can basically see in the last 90 days, there's been four buys and one hold for this, which gives it a kind of average rating of buy right now. And so if you come here and kind of see that average, you can understand, okay, the kind of metrics for the quant are changing on a daily basis, and here's what that looks like. And the sentiment of SA analysts is set up here. That can give me a decent idea of, the performance or the expected performance of the stock, and gives you an idea, of why the quant rating and SA analyst ratings might change.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
then we also had a question about a specific part of the screeners that I think we can combine a couple questions here. So this was about short interest and how to see that. So if you pull up a stock screener, you
Yeah.
can specifically search for the short interest field, and then we can go from there.
Okay. So I'll pull up, well, let's see. I'll pull up maybe this strong buy one, and I'm going to hit advanced filters. Going to maybe remove some of the selected filters in here. And I'm going to search for short interest. I'm going to select that, hit done. And then you can see short interest is here on the right. And I can sort, if I click on the top, by stocks with the highest short interest and filter by ones that don't have it in there. And so this is gives you an idea of how to see short interest in our stock screener, as well as if I click on short interest right here in the menu, I'm actually able to highlight it, or sorry, filter by it. And basically I can say, okay, maybe I want, stocks with short interest greater than 5%. I can hit done. And then when I go to update the results, they'll basically update and show the short interest of this portfolio. I mean, of this screen.
Awesome. And then maybe a good segue from here, if we just select any of these symbols and go to the symbol page. We had a couple questions about advanced charting, just at a high level, and maybe it's also useful just to call out the recent change that we added here for full screen.
Yeah, so we've made a change for our advanced charting feature where you can see here there's kind of this new icon on the left side where now today there's the basic chart, but if you click on ADV chart, it'll launch basically into a full screen view of the chart. And it's just a kind of more intuitive, easier way for you to get a larger view because we were hearing feedback from customers that when you click on advanced in this size, it wasn't big enough. So when you click on ADV or advanced chart right here, it'll open the chart in a new tab and it'll open in a bigger fashion. And you're able to still do the same functionality of our new advanced charting feature, change the different chart types, view different indicators. You can also, do drawing as well. And so just giving a little bit more usability to the charting feature by when going to the symbol page, clicking on advanced chart and opening it up in a new tab. I did see one question in here about filtering for OTC stocks. So that's something you're able to do in our screener as well. So I'm going to go back to screeners. I'm going to click on top stocks here, and I'm going to click on advanced filters. I'm going to remove some of these just so we have some room. And I'm going to add in the exchange parameter. And so exchange will come up here now on the far right. I can actually, move it if I'm more interested in it to the very left. You can reorder these columns and you'll see exchanges there. If I click on exchange right here, I'll be able to filter by certain exchanges. And you can see there's a few OTC exchanges in here. So there's this one and there's this one. And basically, I'm wanting to make sure I don't miss any others. And I'm going to hit done. And then you can see all for right now, this is strong buys and buys with different grades associated with them as well. We've got 14 results. All of the OTC stocks that we've got within these characteristics. So you're able to kind of set that filter there. And then if you're interested in, potentially like adding these to a portfolio and making sure you're staying in the know about when their ratings change, you could find these, the ratings right here. You can click plus portfolio, select the ones you want to make sure they're in your portfolio. You can remove some if you'd like, hit next. I'm going to click plus new portfolio because I'm going to create a new one. And you can now see I've got a new portfolio based on that filter of OTC stocks that I just created. And I can then, like I did before, click on manage alerts pretty easily and then basically set a quant rating alert for all of these stocks so that essentially I just went from trying to find all the strong buy or buy OTC stocks, added them to a portfolio, and then set a quant rating alert for all of them so you're staying in the know on when that quant rating alert actually changes.
Yeah, and two other questions related to portfolios. The first one was how to upload with a spreadsheet rather than kind of adding things manually.
Yeah. So you're able to upload via spreadsheet by clicking on this create portfolio button. And then you can see there are a couple options here. There's create portfolio, which will just give you the ability to manually add tickers in. You can just type them in. You can also manually enter lot information as well. So the number of shares you own, the purchase date, all of those things. You can also link your brokerage account. So you can actually, use a username and password and link your brokerage account, which is beneficial because it automatically updates based on all of the trades that you're making in your portfolio on a regular basis. You don't really have to do much there. Or you can click upload CSV, which basically just makes sure that you include four columns in your CSV file, symbol, quantity, cost, and date in that date format. So if you make sure you have those four columns and also make sure you limit it to 500 symbols, you basically would be able to hit upload file, pick that file, and then it'll basically input your portfolio right there. So basically you just have to click create portfolio on the left and then upload CSV right in the center there. And I did see one question, I believe, about interactive brokers. So if you go in and basically click link broker, you can select interactive brokers from this right here and basically click on that, click link broker, and then it'll prompt you to go through the flow of essentially selecting, well, you'll hit continue as guest here, and it'll go through the flow of selecting your broker for, the linking. Right here, this is giving me an issue, but it's resolved, so don't worry about that. You can link your interactive brokers account when you go through and link that up.
Yeah, and one other quick one while we're on the portfolios. There was a question, is there a way to see dividend increases slash decreases on the portfolio? So maybe a helpful one would be to pull up the edit view and just look at which dividend metrics are available. Because you can also do this in screeners, but within your specific portfolio, you can look at all of the relevant dividend metrics here.
Yeah, so I have a portfolio here called dividend stocks. So I clicked on that on the left, and I went over to the dividends tab. And basically what you can see here is different information about the dividends in your portfolio. So some key dividend metrics, the average yield in your portfolio, your dividend safety score, which is based on our dividend grading system, kind of the dividend growth 3-year average. So you can see 10.5%. We also have average yield on cost typically as a data point and beta as well. And you can basically see down here below all the different grades for each one of these, when they pay out, the frequency, estimated annual income, and more, dividend data points that are hopefully helpful to give you an understanding of how much income you're going to be pulling in on a regular basis from a dividend perspective. Maybe I can go to this portfolio and then go to dividend tabs. Yeah, and you'll see this is because I have, this is a growth portfolio, so the safety is not very good, but I do have lots or holdings actually entered in this one. And so it gives me an estimated annual income based on how many shares I actually own in my portfolio, and then that dividend growth 3-year average as well. So a good kind of function here to be able to see how many dividend payouts you're going to be getting on a regular basis and how much income you'll be getting on a regular basis too.
Awesome. And quick response to one, just asking about Plaid as a third party method of connecting your brokerage to the platform and how secure that is.
Yeah.
Plaid is very secure. It's the industry standard for bank to bank transfers as well. So excellent way to link your brokerage. And
Yeah.
then we also had another question about doing a simple comparison about how you can compare two different stocks and additionally compare it with an index. So we have a really good tool here called comparisons at the bottom of the left nav that we can pull up.
Yeah. So I can hit, it's at the bottom of the left nav here. I'll hit create new comparisons and I can enter in, maybe that stock that I mentioned before, and something like this. And there's two stocks there and I can hit, you know, next and it'll show some data points on the actual, uh, sector, industry, market cap, all of those things. If I hit edit symbols, it'll even give me some symbols that I can suggest, which is super helpful. And so, I can even see more info there with these different data points. And you can even see a graph below of which ones have performed the best. You can look at different time periods as well. Um, and you can see the different ratings for each one of those too. So that's helpful to just get an understanding of, how these different stocks compare to each other. You can even save it and come back for later, which is helpful because you want to make sure that you have this info on an updating basis. You could look at it kind of like another watch list portfolio type where you're looking at different tickers in here and making sure that they're updating on a regular basis. So just a good way to see the different performance of these tickers, maybe in your portfolio, but maybe you're just comparing them yourself in there. And then I think just one other point about linking your portfolios that I'm seeing. So we use Plaid, as was mentioned, and we also use SnapTrade. It depends on the institution that you are investing with. When you hit create portfolio, you'll hit that link broker button. And then depending on the institution, you'll either be linking with Plaid or with SnapTrade. Both, as Sam said, are industry standard, super secure. We don't see any information whatsoever related to the connection. So if you wanted to just hit Fidelity here, hit Link Broker. It would essentially walk you through the steps to connect your account to Fidelity, typically involving two-factor authentication so that you make sure that it's, you every time logging in and super secure and clear there.
Awesome. And then I know we're getting close to time here, so maybe just one last one. Back to advanced charting. Someone was curious about how to edit specific indicators that have been added. So typically you would do that by right-clicking the indicator once you've added it. So for example, if we added a moving average here, you can edit the specific range for that moving average and also edit the colors as well, like Fred is showing.
So I can click a different color here, maybe make it blue or something like that. Can hit done. And as Sam was saying, you can right click the line to hit edit settings. And then you can change the period to be, different things there. You can change different settings here as well. And so once you hit done, um, that'll be there on your page. And this will save on your advanced charting ticker as well. So you can leave this page, come back to this page, and it'll actually save, which is, a helpful kind of way to come back to things and analyze them. So just a helpful way to understand how to use advanced charting. And just so we're all aware, this will be recorded. This webinar will be recorded and sent out to everyone. And we'll be doing this on a regular basis. And so if anyone has any other questions, feel free to reach out to us, subscriptions@seekingalpha.com. We'll be happy to help in that way. But yeah, look for more product updates and product improvements from us on an ongoing basis. And we're excited to do more of these in the future for sure.
Yeah. Thank you all. And for everyone who sent their email in the chat, just give us about a day or so and we'll get you added to that test group for the top analyst card as well.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.